Hey, welcome to Two Girls Shooting the Shit with Em and Mo. This is Mo, and in this episode, Em and I talk about pronouns and just identity in general, and what does it mean? What does it mean to us? Talk about some recent revelations with myself, and just society in general. So check it out, and if you like it, please give us a good rating, tell your friends, and listen to more. Here we go.
Or even, you know what? I'm going to check myself in my bias. I just came back from Canada, and on the flight back, the pilot was a woman. And I don't know why, but something in me was like,
Yep,
just a little bit.
Felt like I was gonna die.
But it's not obviously in my mind that this is what I'm talking about, is the things you're socialized with. Obviously, I know she can do the damn thing.
Exactly.
Right? I know she can fly the plane.
Hi, friend.
Hi, friend.
How you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. What am I talking? I don't know why I'm talking.
I have no idea. I'm going with it. It's what you want to do. I'm going with it.
Oh, I know why.
Do you, boo-boo?
Yeah. Oh, your nails are so pretty. You look in darkness. I love it.
I am dark right now. I got some good sun. Okay.
You darkness, you.
Remember, I used to be so dark. Ooh, I used to like lather on the baby oil and just lay.
You used to go tanning.
Yes, I loved it. I was like, just
a little hopscotch. That's adorable. I cannot.
Oh, the house is staged.
What are we talking about?
I just, since we talked about all that Karen, whatever stuff a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about, we talk about racism, but patriarchy and misogyny and all of those ideas are kind of, we don't really touch on them as much. And I had a friend that I've known for a while and just learned
Who, me?
well, I'm not trying to put whatever, but I just learned of their pronouns and did not know. And I feel like, holy shit,
we ain't woke like that, walking around like, what's your pronoun? Like,
well, I mean, I think that's a good conversation to have too, though, is I feel like when I meet someone new, if I'm emailing somebody, if I'm on LinkedIn, if I'm on wherever, it's now accepted practice. Hey, what are your pronouns? Or for you to put it in your signature. But I feel like for friends who have been friends for 10, 15, 20, 50 years, y'all need to go check in with your friend. Hey, what are your friends' pronouns? Do you know
what are your pronouns? She, her.
But here's the thing. Okay, go ahead. What were you gonna say? Yours, but your what?
No, mine were she, they for a long time. She, they, kind of like ambiguous. And then I know I got tired of she and then just made it they and they, them. And it felt much more authentic. And I thought and I used to always wonder, I'm like, why do people make such a big deal out of pronouns? Like, cause I just didn't have an identity, I guess. And then somebody called me she and it hurt my stomach. Like,
really?
Yeah. And I was like, but they don't know, like that person didn't know.
I can walk around calling you she, so I don't.
Yeah, it's just like they didn't know. But so now I put my pronouns on everything. I'm like, they, them, they, them.
Also, I mean, this is all part of like just this new, it's like an evolution, I think, of society. And the idea that things have always been done a certain way doesn't mean they always have to be done a certain way. Yep. And the idea that I'm she, her, I feel comfortable with that because I feel like that's just what it's always been. Yeah. I have never allowed myself to think of what would make me more comfortable, if it would make me more comfortable, because it was never an option before. It was just, this is what you are assigned, but I've been reading a lot about it. I'm interested. I read an article, I sent you a link, and it talked about why everybody should go by they, them.
Why?
Because the gendering of things is what it feeds the patriarchy. It leads to a lot of disparity in treatment, wealth or what the hell? I have a splinter. Lord jeebies.
Oh no. R.I.P.
Look at that. It's deep in there.
That's
Oh
what those
my.
are. I be having those too. And then they just go away.
Oh my
Do they go-
gosh.
do they go into the bloodstream or they just come out? I don't know.
I'm about to rip my finger open and get it out. That's what I'm about to do.
You got some
From
antiseptic, something antiseptic.
but anyway, I'm over here getting tore up. Where did that even come from? No, but it talks about how like a lot of things that we don't realize are gendered, and
Yes.
the gendering of things, especially like non-human things,
Even cords
feeds-
and stuff and plugs.
feeds into it feeds
Mhm.
into the general idea of like patriarchy and the hierarchy of the sexes and things like that. So like one of the parts to it talked about Alexa and Siri and how they're given female voices names because it perpetuates
Siri
the
is a
idea. Yeah, you can change it.
Not
but-
Alexa though. I don't think you can change Alexa.
No, but watch, she'll start talking. But by default,
She don't wanna be listening.
they perpetuate the idea of like the female helpmate, the eager helper. Oh, let me do this for you. Oh, let me tell you what this is, and
we
it's,
always talk about that, like the people pleasing woman.
yeah.
That stereotype or whatever it's called.
So I found that interesting. I found it interesting, but just the idea that you can choose, or you're in control of your identity, I guess, is something that
I think it's like an ownership. For me, it's makes me feel like a person. It makes me feel more connected and more able to identify myself. And like, I don't feel like you're not putting your
and you
stereotypes
get to
into
do
me.
it. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You're not putting,
You get to.
Yeah, exactly. And it's my identity. I get to define myself, who I am.
Why do you think there's so much pushback on that?
Because
there's a lot of people who don't like that.
We want
It's
to be
hard to
racist.
change.
We want to categorize people. We want to put this set of characteristics on you based on the way you were born, like whatever is put on you. We're going to say, okay, you're just people pleasing, whatever set of characteristics they want to be able to put it, society wants to be able to put it. I mean, it is a survival thing. It's easier to make snap judgments and things like that if you know certain stuff. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I think that's
I'm reading that.
Yeah, I'm just sending it to you. The title is Why We Should All Use They, Them Pronouns. Using gendered identifiers, even if we get to choose our own, can reinforce bias and discrimination, even if we choose it. So this is almost pushing back and saying you shouldn't have a choice. It should just be
it should just be. Yeah, I agree. And you made an example about some violinists. What was that?
Yeah. So in this, it's Scientific American is like the journal or whatever. Yeah. So it says here, I'm trying to find, here. So there's, for instance, when identical resumes are submitted for a position with the only difference being gendered first names of applicants, Brian is twice as likely as Karen to get the offer. There may be some other reason.
Now Karen ain't getting no offers. So
right.
That's messed up too.
In contrast, when symphony orchestras adopted quote unquote blind auditions that use a screen to conceal the candidate's identity from the jury, the probability of women being advanced and hired increased dramatically. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't think this is anything novel,
like with Freakonomics. Like if your name's Monique, you're less likely to have your resume reviewed.
It's all bias. It's all
bias. It's all categorizing. It's all over, like trying to figure out a way to figure people out by a name, because we are all too lazy to get to know. We even have technology, for instance, to kind of scope out people. And so, I don't know. I feel like it's just all by design.
I mean, it's lazy, but it's also
survival.
It's also just bias. Like, because they talk about that with ethnic names.
Yeah, there's an attention to it as well. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, or just, and I've had this conversation a lot with regard to race. A lot of people, you may not be racist, obviously, you may not harbor these ill feelings, but because of the way we're socialized, the way that the society we live in, you subconsciously make determinations and make decisions on things based on race, based on gender, based on things without you knowing it, like, I mean, I don't know.
So they did like that. Like there's one of those little puzzle things, like, oh, the guy's mom is in the ER, who's the doctor or something like that, and then it ends up like the guy's mom is the doctor or something. But
but you would assume there's what was that thing? There was one thing. There was a woman named Emily and a man named Bob or whatever, and they had a child. And they named or something, and what is it? something about the mom's the doctor, but like they go into it someone else and they're like, oh, I'm named after, my parent or whatever. Oh, Dr. So I'm not making sense, but it's a thing. If you've heard about it, the child is the mom's a doctor. Or you assume the woman's a nurse. Yeah. It's hard
or
to
the
talk
woman's
sometimes.
a pilot, like
right. Or even, you know what? I'm going to check myself in my bias. I just came back from Canada, and on the flight back, the pilot was a woman. And I don't know why, but something in me was like,
yep,
just a little bit.
Felt like I was going to die.
But it's not, obviously, in my mind, this is what I'm talking about, is the things you're socialized with. Obviously, I know she can do the damn thing.
Exactly.
Right? I know she can fly the plane.
And also, don't pilots have a reputation for being drunk? Like, that's also what I don't understand. Like, how is this reality?
That's like, that Denzel. What movie was that? Denzel.
Oh yeah, that Flight Traffic. What was that called? I forgot the name.
I don't remember, but he was drunk. But yeah, and I had to check myself. I was like, why am I feeling this kind of way? I'm fine. We're fine. She go fly the plane. Like, it was so weird. And that's what I mean, is there's a lot of things that you grow up with, or you're socialized to believe, or you're taught, and just subconsciously these things are operating.
And I don't think it's negative. So for instance, that hesitation that we had, and we know full well that the person's capable of doing the job.
Right.
It's just that familiarity, like consistency, that what you're used to, and it's something that's different. And so unlike most, most people will just not care or have maybe a little hesitation and move forward. But then I think that's the problem, is people who don't like that inconsistency, or who like it triggers something in them, that fear, a lack of survival. And that's where you get these really hateful type people and things like that. I really think there's a reason. I don't think it's just like they're assholes. I think that there's something that is in their body that's saying, like, something's going to be taken away from me. Like, I don't feel safe. There's a safety. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to analyze and understand, but it's interesting. Yeah. No idea.
Ain't that some shit? I said, ain't that some shit? Oh, ain't that some shit? Ain't that some shit? Goddamn.
When I look back, I realized that one of the reasons why I never understood pronouns and really couldn't identify with them, I didn't understand why people would get so upset when I was called sir all of the time. And it bothered me, but I knew who I was, I thought. And I think that was part of the issue, was that I didn't have an identity. And so stepping into my own pronouns as they, them has really helped ground me in a way to help provide me a sense of identity, a sense of self, a sense of belonging on this earth. And I can kind of understand why people get so possessive and serious about it. It's something that I couldn't identify with before. But now that I'm in this space of actually knowing who I am and feeling a stronger sense of self, it makes sense. I mean, I'm still not going to cry or get upset if anybody uses the wrong pronouns. I know who I am, and I think that's the most important thing. It took long enough.
Another thing that came up that we were chatting about yesterday is, I guess they call it the honorific or whatever, the Mr., Ms., Mrs.
Oh, yes.
And that's all gendered. And I think, I forgot, I read somewhere where the
it's
Mrs.
gendered and
the Miss got changed to Ms., right? Because whether you're married should not,
exactly.
Who cares?
Indicates that you're married. Yep.
Right. And then
status.
Now I'm seeing MX as the honorific, and I don't know why we even need one. Why do we need a Mr.? Is it like a respect thing, or is it like a acknowledging?
I think it's just the way the English language is set up. You can't write a letter and be like, "Hi, Emily." I guess you can.
Why not?
You're Emily. That's fine.
That's some outdated stuff. I feel like there's a lot of outdated stuff that's just weird. But now they're doing MX, so you don't know if it's male or female. They're trying to take the gender. But like, why do it at all? Why not just be? Well, I guess if you want to use your last name and completely remove any markers of gender, you could be MX and then last name. Yeah. Right. Instead of being like your first name, which is obviously a feminine name, right? My first name is obviously.
That's why I like names like Michael and things like that, where it could be I don't know what it's called.
Either gender ambiguous, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yesterday, this blew my mind open to a lot of things, like why women are still taking still taking men's last names when they get married.
Ownership.
And it's, yeah.
And it's the way we've done. Bloodline, pass it on.
But it's again, the setup. It's like, there's no, if you don't,
property,
then children, then what do you do with your children's last names? What do you do? Does everybody hyphenate a name? Do you have to, like, it's so complicated just to tell people who you are when that has nothing to do with who you are. It is property. If you think the woman takes the man's last name, the slaves took the master's last, like, you know what I'm saying?
That kind of bothers me. Like, I kind of wish, like, now I see why people change their names, because it's like
your last name may not have been Thompson,
we're just
or whatever.
walking with like slave names. I don't like that.
But then what else? What are you gonna make up a name? Make up a name that you think has some ancestral tie to Africa somewhere?
Or you can look, I mean, there are people in Africa, like, for instance, for me, I'm Nigerian mostly. So I can probably look and figure out, I don't know.
And just
I gotta go
one?
to Nigeria at some point. Just pick one. I mean, I'd rather pick one than to just be slave, Yeah. I feel like that stuff subconsciously is why we're stuck in this thing. Like, we have all these tragedies every day and nobody cares. Everybody's outraged for 5 seconds. Nobody cares about Black people. But anyway, I digress. What were we talking about? Oh, yes, names.
It's really weird. And I think just seeing the pushback on things, why each individual cannot be allowed, I don't know if that's the right word, to tell you who they are.
Yeah, why not?
Without pushback. Like,
how do your kids identify themselves? Do they know who they are yet? Do they have a sense of self yet?
I don't think that they have.
Not as pronouns, just like, even if it's like, hi, I'm blah, 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 and I like this game, or
they know exactly what they are and who they like and what they like and what they don't like. But they haven't communicated, like, I don't think that and this might be the mind fuck that we do to ourselves as adults. Like, why can't we just exist? Like, why does it have to be who are you? What is your full name? What is your this?
Paperwork.
Too much this going on. Like, I'm like shaking. Like, it's too much. Yeah, it's just too much. Just exist. Can we just exist? Just exist. Period. Or like, if I wanted to refer to myself in the third person all the time, like, why not? People would give me shit for that, right? If Emily wanted to refer to herself as Emily all the time.
You hate that.
I mean, I do, but if that's what I decided to do, because I think it's silly. But I mean, if that's, again, if that's what we doing, right?
Who was that used to do that on Bro Man? From the fifth floor.
From the fifth floor.
On the fifth floor.
I don't know.
Bro Man.
But I do think that's interesting. And I do think it's important to anybody who's listening. If you do have friends or family and you haven't had a conversation about it, it might be good to check in with your people and be like, hey, like, times are changing. I don't know your pronouns.
But also, we live in a world, like, I'm not going to cry. Like, that gut was just like, I think the first time that I felt like that someone called me she. And so it was like,
and it didn't align with you.
It was like a validation of they almost. It was like, I'm identifying. I feel like life is part of identifying ourselves, and people get too caught up in themselves, too caught up in all this identity stuff and want to fault other people. You identify yourself. You can't, like, not everyone's going to see you the way you see yourself. And unless they're taking something away from you, I mean, give them grace. That's what I say.
Absolutely. I think we should give everybody grace, period. Until, if you don't know, you get grace. And then when you have to do, but I feel like as a friend, if you're trying to be a good friend, you should know find out, take the time to find out who your friend is, how they want to be referred, to, and then respect that and try to, I may call you she a couple times, you know what I mean? But like, it's going to take a minute for me to get the pronouns right, but it's about respect. It's about giving each other grace and just honoring the people in your lives the way that they are asking you to. So
exactly. Yeah. Like you said, if I've told you I'm they and you keep calling me she forever, it's like, okay, you're in your comfort zone. It's something making you uncomfortable.
Right.
So I wouldn't still be mad. I'm not going to keep fighting it. Like, I would understand that there's
you got other things to do.
I'm not here trying to die on the hill for everything. Like, a hill for everything.
But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot out there saying that we should all be they thems.
Works for
I
me.
don't know.
Make life easier. Just make everything, and you can't even say
One.
blind, like everything just like, yeah, ambiguous.
Nondescript.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So people can have opportunities, people can live a life. But like, that's the thing, you can't do that with race and things like that. So, you know, it's just like bias is going to be there forever. You just have
But
to,
where we can
exactly.
eliminate
That's
bias,
exactly
we should. Yeah.
Yep. Where we
Yeah.
can. That's all we can do. Any other thoughts?
Period. Nah, man. Was that wrong? Nah, man. Like,
Well, you call
should
I ain't
that
a
be-
man.
No,
I ain't a
but I mean,
man. I'm
like,
just kidding. No, I say hey guys.
you know,
when I
like
say, hey, guys,
little
like that.
colloquialism. Yeah.
I know I'm not a guy.
I can't be
didn't say
like
I was.
folks all the time because I hate folks.
Yeah.
Folks sounds a little too like there's folks. Like I feel like
I sound fake woke.
that's a fake word when you know you want to say something else.
Mm-hmm.
My dude, my this, my that, you know. I don't know.
My jizzle. Love you.
All right, love you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Two Girls Shooting the Shit with Em and Mo. Please enjoy this mindful moment.
Some people will only like you if you fit into their box. Don't be afraid to shove that box right up their ass.